Alright, so it's been quite some time since I made my last videos, and I'm sorry if I wasn't able to respond to all your messages or your comments. I really do try as hard as I can. I honestly didn't think I'd get this much feedback or attention from these videos, to be honest. I only thought I'd get a few responses from people who maybe experienced it. Since my last video, I went to Peru for about a month. Ended up staying a month and a half, canceled my flight, prolonged the trip, got sick. All kinds of crazy stuff happened while I was out there. I know a lot of you are probably going to ask if I did any ayahuasca while I was out there. I wasn't able to, unfortunately, but I do intend on going back. Maybe I can see where that journey will take me. While I was out there, I actually had an interesting kind of sleep paralysis scenario that happened. So I went hiking through the Andes, and I guess I had eaten some bad cheese, and I ended up getting brucellosis or some kind of virus or whatever it is. And I ended up being hospitalized for about 4 days and 3 nights. And the first night, it was hard. I was in a lot of pain. Second night, it wasn't as bad, but still a lot of pain. And I believe it was the second night, my friend had stayed at the hospital with me, luckily, because my Spanish is horrible. It's little to non-existent. And luckily I had him with me. So he was helping to translate everything, and he was pretty much there most of my stay. So the second night, I'd fallen asleep, and he was on my laptop watching videos or doing whatever. I was just in pain, so I was trying to sleep. I finally fell asleep, and I basically, the ring in your ears happens. You start hearing the ringing, and then you start realizing that, start feeling your body going numb or tingling. And I felt it coming on, and I had heard my friend say something to me. I can't remember now. It's been a while since it happened. I tried writing it down. I couldn't find where I put everything. But, so I thought he had said something to me. Apparently he didn't, because he was asleep or zoned out. No, he wasn't asleep. He was zoned out on the computer watching his videos or a movie, whatever it was. And of course, when it happens, it's difficult at first not to be afraid. You have to remind yourself what's happening, because it's almost like a state of panic takes over. And even now, it's still kind of shocking at first, and I have to remind myself. It's easier now than it used to be, but... So this happened in March. Yeah, March. And so I started feeling it come on, and then next thing I knew, I felt my body pull up, and I kept hearing this loud yell. And for whatever reason, there's always a yell. I don't know if it's someone trying to scare me back into my body or what it is. I've read a lot of different stories and scenarios of what actually exists in these realms or dimensions outside of ours. And I know a lot of people talk about, some people think they're spirits, some people think they're actual entities. I think they're probably two in the same. What one calls a spirit, the other calls an entity, but they're still talking about the same force. So I started hearing this yell, and it's a deep grunting yell, and I feel myself lift out of my body, and I couldn't see my body. Everything was kind of really blurry, and I couldn't focus in on much at all. And so I leave my body, and I feel myself go up, and then all of a sudden I go upwards. It's almost like I was laying flat, and I came up and then went forward. So I go forward as if I was getting out of the hospital bed. And there's this yelling, and all of a sudden it's like things are being thrown at me. And it sounded like an angry person basically just throwing stuff all around the room. So I'm seeing like these blurred images of things flying by me, and I hear this yell, and then all of a sudden this thing comes face to face to me, and it just comes charging, and it stops right in front of me. And I remember I kept telling myself, don't be afraid, don't be afraid. stand strong, basically. And so it charges for me, and I just stood there. I didn't flinch, I didn't pull back, I didn't do anything. And it stopped, and it looked at me, and the next thing I knew, I just slammed back into my body, and it was almost like some people describe like a loud snapping. I didn't hear anything, but I just got jerked back in. And then I finally shook out of it, and I kind of woke up, and I asked my friend, I was trying to say your name at first, because at first I was panicking. So I was trying to say his name, get his attention. And that was when I thought he had said something to me. Something like, I don't know if I thought he said be quiet or something. Anyways, he didn't hear anything. Apparently I wasn't moving, I wasn't flinching, I wasn't doing anything. At least not that he noticed from where he was sitting. And so that was interesting. That happened, so that happened when I was in Peru. And it actually happened, the sleep paralysis and whatnot, it happened to me 3 times that same day. And kind of nothing else really happened after that. I finally ended up coming back home because I racked up a pretty big medical bill, which compared to the United States, it's really, I guess, not that big of a medical bill. But so I ended up coming back home, and since I've been back home, I've had other interesting experiences. I'm trying to remember exactly how the last one panned out. Not the last one, but oh, okay. So I finally get back, and after that experience, I was like, okay, I'm going to keep focusing on this, because while I was in Peru, I was focusing on the whole spirituality aspect of everything. I was exploring. I wanted to learn about the culture, the shamans, everything. I was kind of limited on what I was able to do out there, but it was a great experience. So I come back, and I have this friend, and he's also into astral projection and dreams and stuff like that. And I had told him how I had the same exact dream as an activist that I followed on Instagram. And it's funny because I've never seen this person. So I don't know what he looks like. All I know is the posts that he posts. I know that he's a guy. And so I had this weird dream one night that I was at my mom's house, but it didn't look like her house. It never does when it's in my dreams. There was a bunch of green trees everywhere. It was really lush, and I live in the middle of the desert, so that was kind of odd. So I'm in the water. My mom kind of lives along the lake, and I'm in the water, and I'm with my mom, my dad, and my 2 sisters. And we're hiding because I guess there was people taking over my mom's house. I don't know if it was like military, and they're kind of just establishing my mom's house as their base for whatever operations they were doing. And so we're in the water and we're hiding. And my little sister was younger than she is now. She was still like a little toddler in my dream, and she started crying. So I was trying to cover her mouth and keep her quiet, because I was afraid that, they're going to hear it. They're going to hear her crying. They're going to come down here and they're going to kill us or do whatever they're going to do. And so I go to cover her mouth, and she kind of stops crying. She's funneling around them, and finally my dad's like, I'm going to go up there. I'm going to find out what's going on. I'm going to get help. So we're trying to tell him, we're like, no, don't go up there. They're going to kill you. And he's like, no, it'll be okay. I'm going to go up there, figure out what's going on. So he goes up there, and he ends up talking to this guy. He brings the guy down. The guy had like a big rifle and a whole military jumpsuit outfit, whatever. And he comes down, and we're trying to be quiet, and he goes, it's okay, you guys, we can come out. He's going to help us. And so we were kind of iffy about it at first. We didn't want to get out of the water, and he's like, he's helping us, come on. So we go, okay. We start getting out of the water, and this guy that came down with my dad was helping to pull us out of the water. And I lift my sisters up. He pulls my sisters out of the water, and then he pulls me out last. And when he pulled me up, he said something. He said something in my ear, but I couldn't remember what he said. And then the rest of the dream kind of gets blurry after that. But the very next day, the morning I woke up, I get this message on Instagram. And it's from this activist. And he goes, kind of weird, but I had a dream about you. And I go, well, that's weird. tell me what happened in the dream. And he describes the same exact dream that I had. I thought, well, that's really weird because he described the green trees, he described my parents, he described my sisters, and how he was helping us. So I thought, wow, that's really strange. I mean, that says something about dreams in general, that you can experience the same thing. So really, are dreams just purely made up, or are we actually experiencing another reality? And we don't know much about other dimensions. All I know is I know it's psychics or clairvoyants and people who are sensitive to these things. I mean, I've read what they have to say about all these other dimensions, and I know a lot of them say that in dimensions, what you think you create. So it doesn't have to be, like, if we're experiencing another reality, it doesn't have to be exactly the same for everyone. It can be what you're creating. But for two minds to be able to meet in a dream and have the same thing, dream the same thing, I mean, that says a lot about what it could possibly be. So I thought that was fascinating, and I was telling my friend Joshua about it, and I told him about my sleep paralysis things and started talking about astral projection. So we decided we were going to focus on meeting each other in our dreams. And we were able to do it one time, and every single night, we'd remind each other, okay, going to meet you in dreamland. And finally, we were able to do it, and we had the same dream where he was in my room, and I haven't met this person, and I haven't met him in real life. So all I know is pictures and things of that sort. So it's an online friend. And so he meets me in my room, and in my dream, we're both in my room, and we're having this long conversation about, I can never remember what my conversations are about in my dreams, but we're having this really long conversation about just whatever it was. And the next morning, I texted him, I was like, I saw you. I met you in my dreams. And he goes, wow, so did I. And he told me, he described my room. He told me about how he met me in the room, and we were talking about something, and blah, 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 blah. So I thought, oh, that's awesome. So I was able to meet him in my dream. And then one of the more recent sleep paralysis things that I had, ever since I've become aware that it's, for many people, it's linked to astral projection, whether you're becoming conscious after or during the separation or the reattachment, whatever it is. My belief that I've come to, I guess, realize what's worked for me is anytime I've experienced sleep paralysis, that's my spirit, my soul, whatever, trying to break away. And I felt it coming on, so I go, okay, focus, maintain it, focus on a place. And that's one of the tips that I've gotten from videos and that I've read is whenever you feel it happening, focus on a place and you'll be transported there. And it sounds really easy, and a lot of people make it sound really easy, and if it is that easy for so many people, I don't know what I'm doing wrong, because it's still difficult for me. But I felt it coming on, so I focused, okay, my friend Joshua, I'm gonna meet him, I'm gonna find him, my friend Joshua. So I was focusing on him. And next thing I know, I mean, I didn't see myself soaring through the sky, I didn't see anything. It was just like, within a blink, I was in his room. And I was kind of like, the way I was seeing things was kind of like this, almost like I was swaying back and forth, and I kept trying to rebalance myself to stay straight. And I see him sleeping on the bed, and he's laying on his back, and I saw part of the room, but his bed was in the center or whatever. And then I kind of come back to it, and I sat up and I woke up. So I texted him, and I was like, I think I visited you. You know, does your bed have do you have a bed frame for your bed? Is it in the middle of the room? Blah, blah, blah. And he goes, yeah, it is. And he goes, it's right in the middle of the room. Blah, blah, blah. I was like, did you sleep on your back? And if I recall correctly, he said he was sleeping on his back. So I was like, wow, that's awesome. I finally did it. And so far, that has been the furthest I've traveled, the most I've experienced. I've felt myself pulling out of my body, but I never really see anything. And I've only felt myself pull out maybe 2-3 times. So it's still a work in progress. I haven't been meditating as much as I should, but I know when I have meditated, I know a lot of people experience that same sensation. I haven't. And I know I get a lot of people asking for tips on astral projection and to describe other dimensions and everything. Unfortunately, I can't do that because I haven't seen anything. I haven't really experienced too much. I'm still pretty limited, and it's still a work in progress. But that's the fun part. It's a work in progress. And I try to ignore these posts. The people who go on about Jesus and it's the devil, it's the devil, it's the devil. In a sense, I kind of agree in a certain way. I do believe that there are, like I said before in my videos, energies that can be malicious or some that aren't malicious. But I mean, that goes the same with, like I've said before, the human race. Just because there's a couple bad ones doesn't mean the entire race is bad. And given I do believe the devil is just a name put on a force that's been acting maliciously, I don't believe it's just this one evil being that's just trying to screw with people. I do believe we have these experiences for a reason. I believe they're for our growth. It's for us to realize that we're more than what we see, that there's more to the human in general, more to the human race, more to our reality, more to everything. And people can say it's all in your mind, but like I've said before, technically, the whole world is in our mind. It's all in our brain's ability to decode the information. And I've had some people mention people like Don Juan, the shaman from Mexico. I have read some of his stuff. I haven't fully finished anything, which I should probably work on that. I've been trying to listen to as many audiobooks as I can while I get ready in the morning. It's the easiest way for me to breeze through books, and I'm a lot better learner when I hear things. So even when I read a book, I have to read it out loud. And then my voice just goes to crap, so it's just so much better if I have an audiobook. Another interesting thing, and I didn't think anything of it, one night I started waking up to the ringing in my ears and the paralyzed body feeling, the normal routine. And as I started kind of waking up, becoming conscious as far as this world, this reality, I started becoming a little more conscious, and I heard the ringing, I felt the paralysis, and all I hear are just these malicious dogs. I mean, they sounded like ferocious hound dogs just out to kill me. And I thought it was so weird. And I'm sitting here, and finally I sit up and I snap out of it because I was going to keep trying to pursue leaving my body, because whenever I feel that feeling, I try to focus on a place to go. And lately I've been trying to access the Akashic records. It's tough. I haven't gotten there. But I thought it was so strange that I heard these vicious dogs. And I thought it was strange, but I didn't think too much of it. I thought, well, I've heard voices before. How much different? How weird is it now that I've heard dogs? And I've read the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. We'll listen to the audiobook. And I've done it over and over and over. And it's just like they say in the beginning. It's one of those things that you have to read over and over because you'll learn something new every time. And I found something really interesting the third or fourth time that I listened to the audiobook, and Thoth talks about when he was traveling to the gates of beyond, or whatever it was, he talks about there being hounds that guard and protect that area. And he talks about how they're there to protect you from going beyond that point, because once you go beyond that point, that's where you can access things that normal souls can't access, information, whatever it is. And he talks about how he had to flee from these hounds when he tried crossing over. And he talks about how they're ferocious and beast-like in their sounds. And he also mentions how when you flee from them, you can't go in straight lines or make turns. You have to follow the golden ratio. And he didn't say the golden ratio, but that's exactly what he was implying, because he talks about having to go in a spiral motion to wherever you're going. And I mean, that spiral motion, we find it throughout our entire universe, the solar systems, galaxies. You find it in plants. You find it in everything, in the human body. It's these golden ratios, and it makes sense because he talks about having to fly in these spiral type ways to avoid getting caught. And then he warns that when you hear those dogs, get back to your body, because if they catch you, they can hold you in this other realm. I don't know if maybe you would go into a coma, or if you would maybe die, if your body would just cease to have life anymore. But he speaks about what happens if they capture you, because they're trying to prevent this information from being given to just anyone. And so I didn't think anything of it up until I had re-listened to the audiobook, and then I rewound it and I listened to it again. I rewound it and listened to it again, and I thought it was so strange how it kind of lined up with what I was hearing. Now, I'm not saying that's what happened, because I don't consciously remember where I might have been before I heard these dogs. All I know is I heard them, and I kept trying to leave my body, but I couldn't. I kept getting forced back down until finally I just kind of gave up for the night. But I thought that was really strange. So I know a lot of people ask for tips and, help on how to master these things. I'm pretty sure I've said it before in my other videos. I'll say it again. I don't know that everyone's going to watch every single video I post, but all I know is what I've experienced. I can take in other information that people who've gone farther than me have said. I can't say for myself that I know it to be true. I just go with what I feel sounds right. Most people, you can sense bullshit. You can sense when something is completely false. The only thing is whether or not you're going to allow the fear of it being false to scare you from actually believing what you sense is true, if that makes sense. But, so since that, it's been maybe this month, I've become conscious during the sleep paralysis and the ringing stuff maybe about 5 times this month. About once or twice a week, skip a week, and then once or twice another week, it'll skip. I have been trying to take in advice that people have been giving me as far as books to read, people to check out, tips on projecting. I've been trying. I haven't been focusing on it as much as I've been wanting to, which is kind of why I've been hesitant on posting another video. But I've gotten so much encouragement, and it's made me feel so great about posting these, because I feel like I'm actually helping people, and it's awesome. So honestly, thank you everyone who's been supportive. It makes all the difference. It's already kind of weird. I've already had kind of like a secret fear of people that I know around my town or the city across from me seeing my videos. And I don't get embarrassed. It's just, it's such a different topic for most people. And it kind of took a lot for me to post the first one. And then after all the responses, I was so excited to post the second one. And then after I kind of grew from the second one, I was hesitant on posting the third one, but something just inspired me to do it, so I felt I had to. And so now, finally, I'm working on this one. But I've also gotten a lot of people tips on how to make it stop. I think I might have said it in my other videos. I'm not sure. So I'll say it again. If you want it to stop, you have to stop fearing it. And the only way you can stop fearing it is by researching more into it. Don't focus on the fearful aspect of it when people say it's demons and they're going to capture your soul and something's going to take over your body. That can't happen unless you allow it. That's one thing I've learned when it comes to stuff like this, because it's all the power of the mind. It's whatever you believe, that becomes your reality. And people can say it's not true, but if that's what you believe, that is how your reality is experienced. So my best tip to you is to research into it and not to focus on the fearful aspect. Because one way that you end up being controlled is through fear. Fear is the weakest human emotion that we have. So one, research it. Learn about it. Learn about the positive aspects, the positive stories, the great things that have come from it. Because only in fear can bad things happen. And of course, that's not true with everything, but when it comes to this, it's just what I've come to find out. Because when I was fearful of it, it was constant. And it was like it was plaguing me. I didn't want to sleep at night because it was so constant. And then once I started researching more, all the positive aspects and what else it could be, because sure, it could be something bad, but if you focus on that, that's what's going to manifest for you. It also could be good. So if you focus on that, you can at least turn it into a positive experience. Regardless of what anyone says, you can turn it into a positive experience. And I know that because that's what helped me more than anything. And I had received tips. Like I said, the psychic that I saw in Sedona, she told me black tourmaline. It's a stone, a crystal stone. It's black, obviously black tourmaline. But that really helped me. It helped to ground me to the point where it wasn't so excessive. And sleeping with the light on, that helped for a while. Staging my house, that would help for a little while. But overall, those things are temporary fixes for something that's much stronger than it. It's much stronger than a light bulb being on. It's much more powerful than, wearing a stone, and it could help, and it does add influence, of course, but it's probably not going to fix your problem. It might for some. I mean, if you believe wholeheartedly that it'll fix it, maybe it can just completely rid it. I know with me, I wanted to believe it, but something in me told me this isn't going to fix it. This isn't going to make it stop. And maybe in me thinking that, that's what allowed it to keep happening, but like I said, what turned it into a positive experience for me was reading and listening to all the other people who talked about it being a positive experience for them. And it's only through information that you can really make a good judgment about it. I thought I had more to say, but I realized my video is already getting kind of long. So that's pretty much been the majority of my experiences so far. So something to think about: dreams, astral projection, how to prevent it, whatever. Like I said, the best way to go about it is just through learning. And as far as interesting books, Emerald Tablets of Thoth. That's a great one. Don Juan has some great work. Robert Monroe has some great books on the topic. There's actually some astronauts, I can't remember their names, but they've had the out-of-body experiences and the sleep paralysis, and they kind of told and talked about their journey through it all and what they were able to turn it into a positive experience. And more interesting stuff. Some people might find it to be crazy, but I do think it is very, very much linked with these experiences and these entities that so many people see and have to deal with whenever they go through these types of experiences. And the Sumerian clay tablets, they talk about this alien, interdimensional, extraterrestrial, whatever name you want to put on it. Call them spirits, call them gods, call them devils, whatever. They're these beings, entities. And it talks about them living in the shadows and manipulating the human race through their dreams, which would explain why so many people have such terrible dreams. I mean, like I said, it's through fear that you're able to be controlled. Even the ruling elite in this reality, they know that. That's why they keep us in a constant state of fear. So if there's other intelligent life out there, they probably know that much too. And if they want to stay hidden, what's the best way to stay hidden? Make people fearful of even looking into it. That's the best way to stay hidden. You brainwash them into thinking it's too crazy, and for the ones that are crazy enough to think that it's possible, you scare them into not even wanting to touch the subject. And I think that is very much what has been being done to people, and it's up to us to really take advantage of the experiences that we're being given. Like I said, you can only be manipulated if you allow yourself to. So if we can turn it into a positive experience and prove that we can't be controlled, that we can travel beyond just this physical realm, I mean, that's the best kind of experience for the growth of a soul. So the translation for the Sumerian clay tablets is called The Lost Book of Enki. Enki spelled Enki. I found that to be great. And another great book was The Gods of Eden. And that's another interesting book. It's just something to think about, because there's so many different names, I believe, that are put on to the same group of whatever it is, entities, beings, spirits. But I think it's all connected to each other. So anyway, in the meantime, thank you again for all the support, and feel free to comment me, message me, continue doing that. I'm going to try my hardest and my best to keep a little more updated on my YouTube. I've been trying to respond to everything, but like I said, I really didn't think I was going to get so many responses or messages or comments. And even for the people who post just nonsense, trolls, whatever, you guys are so supportive, but don't even pay them any attention. If you see someone post something ridiculous, don't even bother responding to it. Don't even give them the time of day. That's the only reason they comment on there, is because they want some kind of response out of it. Don't even give it to them. Just let them be their crazy little selves and just ignore it. I know I'm not the perfect person. I know I've responded to a couple, but this is what I'm telling myself now. I just leave it alone. Just let them post and don't even give them the time of day. That's the best way to do it. Who cares? You're not going to convince them anyway if they are firm in their beliefs, so just let it be. All right, so yeah, I guess that pretty much sums up everything. If I can think of anything else, I'll have to read through my journal. I should have did that before I made this video, but something told me just make the video right now. So yeah, I will possibly try to post more videos, keep updated on my experiences and everything I've learned. Oh my god, so I just remembered a dream I had, so I'm gonna prolong this video a little longer. I know it's 32 minutes already. I'll try to be fast. So I had this dream that I was at my mom's house, and I was out in the backyard, and there was all these old books. And I had tried to go to the books, and there's all these bugs that are preventing me. They're biting me, and they're pinching me, and they're flying all over the place, and it was just on this one side of the house. I thought, that's really strange. So I get all these books, and I'm having my cousin's mom help me get help me get these books. And so we're grabbing all these books, and we're bringing them inside, and I'm looking, and they have all these Masonic symbols on them. There was like the Sacred Trinity symbol. There was all different kinds of Masonic symbols on them. And I thought it was so strange. So I was like, oh, these, and in my dream, I knew they were old. They were really old books. And they were books that Freemasons and people of that kind of nature, the kind of books that they study and read from. And I knew this in my dream. So I bring them into my house. I take them over to my house. And I kept sensing there's some kind of energy attached to them. So I got my sage. I always keep sage in my house. So I kind of sage the books, and I'm blessing them, and I'm kind of cleansing them and picking them all up. And all of a sudden I hear this female voice. And I can't remember exactly what she said. But she basically in some way said she was going to kill me. And that I couldn't prevent it from happening. And I don't know why, but for whatever reason I stopped. And as I was saging, and I go, you can't hurt me. You can't hurt me. I love all. And I don't know why I said it, but I said it, as corny or whatever it sounds. And once I said it, she laughed. She started laughing, and she goes, you're right. And then her presence just vanished, and I couldn't see her. All I heard was a voice, and I sensed her presence. And after I said that, she laughed. She said, you're right. And she just vanished. So of course I saw those books, and I thought that's really interesting, because I started going through them, and I'm seeing all these symbols and all this writing saying what they mean, and it was just connecting everything. It was just so much information. It was like an overload. And I was so blown away by it. And then I wake up from my dream, and I'll be honest, at first I was kind of upset. I was like, oh my God, what exactly did I see in these books? And I was trying to draw them and write down, but I couldn't remember what the words said. And I couldn't remember, I could see the images in my mind, but not clear enough that I could draw them out on paper exactly how they were. So I tried, I couldn't quite do it. And so I get online, and I start looking, because in my dream I knew they were linked to like Freemasonry and stuff. So I get online, and I start searching these books. I start searching, Freemason books or whatever, and I found this one. And I've never seen it before in my life, except for in my dream. and I found it online. It was by Pike Morals or something. It was like Pike Morals something. And it was the same exact book that I saw in my dream. I thought, oh my God, that is so strange. So I decided I'm going to buy it. I mean, it obviously came into my dream for a reason. I'm going to buy it. I tried buying it online. I tried getting the oldest version I could find, which these books they're really expensive. I mean, for like a first edition original, it gets to almost $1,000 for one of those books. And I thought, I'm going to splurge. I have money saved up. I'm going to get one of these books. So I had actually got on an auction on eBay to get one. Of course, last minute, someone outbids me. And then all this stuff happened with my hand. I ended up slicing my tendon in half on my pinky. So I don't have health insurance. Go figure. Once I drop it, I get hurt. Murphy's Law. So all my money went towards my surgery and my medicine and the hospital bills and everything else. So I'm still working on rebuilding my funds. But so probably once I'm able to rebuild my funds and purchase some of these books, read from them, I'll probably spread some of it on here. At least whatever I feel makes sense in my mind, or, you know, it is important to get information out there. But yeah, that randomly popped in my head. Yeah, so I thought that really strange dream. And like I said earlier, what are dreams if you're able to dream the same exact thing as someone you've never met before and never talked to before? Really strange. Yeah, so I'll leave on that note. It's already 36 minutes. So yeah, like I said, feel free to message me, comment me, whatever. I promise I'm gonna try to respond and check it more often. Thank you again for all the support, and I'll try to keep everything posted.